based on the numbers that are available, the death rate, the actual death rate, if you catch coronavirus, if you come down with COVID-19, the actual death rate is between 18 to 24%. Hi there, I'm Dr. Duc Vuong. I'm a world famous bariatric surgeon. If you're new to me, let me prove it to you. First of all, this is my degree for the awesome Texas A&M University. I went to med school there. That's my doctor. That's my middle name, right? And then lastly, after you become a doctor, you have to do a residency. So here's my surgical diploma. I went to Christus St. Joseph's in general surgery, finished in 2005. Now, why do I show you my diplomas? Because there's a lot of people out there that are, with social media is amazing, but everybody has a platform, and you don't know who to listen to, what to believe, etc., right? So I was doing COVID-19 videos back in March when this first came out, and people weren't taking it seriously. So I tried to illuminate the problems with coronavirus and why we need to take it more seriously. And it took its course. The economy shut down. People stayed home. People were listening to the information being put out there and took it much more seriously. Now the states are starting to reopen. Problem now, people are a little antsy-pantsy. Am I right? They are. I get it too, man. People want to get out and they want to go back to their lives. A lot of businesses are being lost. We know that. There's a lot of depression, anxiety. I get that. But what I want to do is be smart about how we open back up. So I'm recommitting back to you to bringing you good coronavirus information that you can really depend upon, all right? So today's video, I'm going to talk about why the death rate for the coronavirus is actually 20%. It's not the stupid memes that you see out there, the 0.0001%, I'm stupid, These memes are not helpful. You have to get the actual data. This is where being educated really makes a difference. Okay, and I'm also going to over the next few days do a series of these videos. I'm going to talk about why the second wave, and yes, there's going to be a second wave. Why it's going to be worse. What's going to happen. I'm going to talk about what's going to happen this summer. I'm going to talk about how you can protect yourself, how we need to take this more seriously, etc. So I'm recommitting back to you a series of coronavirus videos, all right? Now trust me, I'm a bariatric surgeon. I would rather be talking about, meal plan and meal prepping and cooking and helping my following understand what they can do to maximize their weight loss surgery. To which the knuckleheads out there will sit there and say, well, why should I listen to a bariatric surgeon? You should stick in your lane. You should do what you're good. Listen, yo. The people what is the number one risk factor for bad outcomes with coronavirus? Who knows? The answer is obesity. That's my following. If you're older, if you're obese, you are in trouble, right? And so I don't want to be doing coronavirus videos. I'd rather be showing you how to garden and grow your own fruits and vegetables. But I have to do this because it's my following. It's my peeps. It's my people. It's the people I've committed to protect and to help, right? So that's why we're going to start up the coronavirus videos again, all right? And for those of you who don't like that, this page is not for you. Go away. It's fine. We don't care. We don't care that you got your Google Doc degree, right? Just whatever. Just go away. You're fine. We still love you. Still social distance. Still wash your hands. But go away. All right. So let's talk about death rate real quick, all right? I want to explain this in a way that just really makes a lot of sense for y'all and that you can share, all right? And so check this out. Why is the death rate 20%? Now, first of all, let's talk about the wrong thing to do. So if you see all of these stupid memes that say something like 100,000 people have died in America, we're going to talk about American numbers, and there are 335 million Americans, therefore the death rate is 0.00000 I'm stupid %. Have you seen these memes where people are saying stuff like this? They shut down the economy, it's not even that bad. What's going on? Why are we doing this? This is stupid. comment, because you know that's your uncle. You know that's your brother-in-law. You know he's got more tattoos than teeth. Because this makes no sense. This is absolutely wrong. This is not what it is. Okay? Now, let me tell you a better way. Okay? So a better way is to say positive tests, like deaths, divided by positive tests. Okay? No, that's not the perfect way. I get it. Stick with me for a little bit. But so roughly in America, we're getting close to 100,000 deaths. Divide that by 1.6 million cases. We're almost to 1.7 million cases. And that gives you a rate of about 5.8%. Okay? That's better. That's more accurate. That actually has something to do with the virus. Right? It actually makes sense. Okay. But it's not the end of the story. It's not complete. It's not complete. So people, who remembers when the virus first started back in March and the U.S. numbers were low? Comment if you remember this. And people were going, the death rate's only like 1%. Remember when it was first out in New York in middle of March and the death rate was really low? Washington, the death rate was 10%, and New Yorkers were like, what's the deal? I don't understand. Like our death rate's only 1%. Dude, death rate changes. That's the one thing these idiots don't understand. Death rate changes as you get more data and input. And then what they do is they misconstrue it, misperceive it, misspin it. It's ridiculous. Let's get down to the root. Ready? Let's get down to the root. Okay. So how do you really need to measure death rate? Let me tell you. How do you really need to measure death rate? This. This is the best. This is the correct way. It's outcomes. It's not how many people have the disease, it's what are the outcomes. So, what are the two outcomes? There's only two outcomes, all right? You get one is recovery, or two is what? Dead. You dead, man. Game over. Those are your two outcomes. All right. I'm going to round these numbers a little bit because, quite honestly, we don't know the exact numbers. And I'll talk to that too. All these idiots who are walking around saying, these numbers are elevated, the death is elevated. What if you have a car wreck and you turn out to be COVID positive? That's not COVID. Come on, let's get serious, okay? I'm going to round these numbers, make the math a little bit easier. Some websites, whatever. Okay, so we know that the number of cases, all right, positive tests is 1.67 million, right? We're getting there, okay? So we know from the recovered, well, we know the dead. Can y'all give me 100,000? So we have 100,000 that are dead. We're getting there. 97, 99,000. Some people have us over 100,000. Okay? Recovered. Depending on what website you read, Johns Hopkins just put out a paper that said 300,000 plus a little over 300,000 patients have recovered. Some websites have reported up to about 567,000 recovered. Can we agree, just to make the math easy, that let's just call this 500,000. We'll just round it, right? 100,000, 500,000. Okay? You have to know the outcomes to understand the death rate. Okay? So, basically, if you add 500,000, 100,000, right? That's 600,000. So what? What does that mean? There is 1 million people we don't know what's going to happen. They're currently going through it. I hope to God they're going to recover. I don't want to see another death, but it's going to happen. All right, the proper way to do it is dead over total outcomes. That's what we know. So, depending on which number you plug in, that's what will give you the number, right? So, we know that there's 500,000 recovered, roughly, 100,000 dead, so that's 600,000 outcomes. So 100,000, do the math, divided by 600,000, That's equal to 1/6, right? Which is roughly what? Who knows? Okay, so if you have a lower number of incidences, let's say I had just picked this to be 400,000 recovered, which would make 100,000, 400,000 plus 100,000, 500,000. In that case, that would be 100,000 over 500,000, which is 20%, right? 1 in 5. Does that make sense? So depending on which number, you want to use the Johns Hopkins number, or do you want to use internet website number, right? So if you factor these together, your death rate is anywhere between 18 to 24%. If you look at the Johns Hopkins data and any sort of website data, you add to it the number of deaths total, right? So you're dealing with the number, if you do the total outcomes, it's between 400,000 to 670,000, right? So that'll give you a death rate between 18 to 24%. That's the correct death rate. But Dr. Vuong, what about these other numbers? Let me tell you how this works. Okay, now, the question is, what's happening with the 1 million that are currently going through? What's happening with the 1 million that are currently going through coronavirus? They haven't recovered, we're not really sure. Let me tell you, if I could wave my magic wand, pow, Dr. Vuong's magic wand, right? And there are no new cases. We are at 1.6 million cases in the U.S. There are no new cases. All right? And then all of these people recovered. All of the million recovered. So what do you have there? You have 100,000 deaths, the 1 million recovered, so that's divide by 1.6 million, you have this number, 5.8%. So the better number, this actually represents what? This number is what we call the best case scenario with your current death rate. Assuming you don't test anymore, no more testing, no more positive. We've got the last positive test. You can keep testing and we've cleared it. This is going to be your best case scenario number. Now, check this crap out. See, I almost said shit. I'm getting better. What if on the other side, all 1 million died? What if all 1 million died? Because we don't know what's going to happen to them. Unlikely. Very unlikely that these 1 million will die. But let's just say they do. Now you have what? Instead of having a death rate of 100,000, you have a death rate of 1.1 million. Divide that by 1.6 million total cases. That's 11 out of 16, which is roughly 77%. So of these million, if they died, the death rate would be 77%. And this is what we call worst case. Now clearly, this is highly unlikely. But also, this is probably not likely either. These numbers, this number, will most likely go up. Does that make sense what I'm saying? And let's prove to you that that's the case. Okay, as of today, March 25th, our neighbors, I want to use numbers from countries, European countries that are 2 to 3 weeks ahead of us, and we can trust their numbers. I don't trust anything out of China. Don't trust Russian numbers, right? But the France, if you look at all the cases in France, I'll round this. It's 28,000 deaths over 145,000 cases. France's death rate is what? 20%. That's France. Their death rate's 20%, yo. And they've had a long time of not really having many new cases, so we know that the people that are in their pipeline are starting to either recover or die. They're starting to have an outcome. That's why we like to use what's happening in Europe. Because the patients that they have, they're starting to have outcomes now, because they're 2 to 3 weeks ahead of us. Okay? UK, United Kingdom. 37,000 deaths, roughly. 261,000 cases. The death rate is 14%. Italy. We all heard about Italy. Right? Italy was on fire. 33,000 deaths, 230,000 cases, 14% death rate. Okay? Spain, 28,700 deaths, 235,000 cases, 12.2% death rate. Now the one, Sweden, everybody's like, Sweden didn't shut down. First of all, Sweden did shut down. They do practice social distancing. They do the hand washing. They do all the stuff that Americans have to do. So this whole internet story that Sweden didn't shut down and showing people, blonde-headed people walking and playing in parks, dude, don't believe that. How do I know? I've got surgeon friends who are Swedish, and they're like, Doc, we're busy. Our ICUs are full. Our morgues are full. Sweden, everybody's golden child, the naysayers, 4,000 deaths, 33,800 cases, a 12% death rate. We should do what Sweden does. We should do what Sweden does. Uncle Billy, if we had a 12% death rate currently with 1.6 million cases, that's 200,000 people. It's 200,000 deaths. Now, it gets a little bit more sober. The mathematical models, projections, we are projected currently in America with the shutdown. I know we're easing restrictions. With the shutdown and the summer, it's going to get hot. It's already 95 degrees here in Houston. Even with the summer and the shutdown, we are projected to have 140,000 deaths by August. 140,000. This number is going to go to 140,000 in the next 3 months. With the heat. And coronavirus is not supposed to like heat. Alright? In future videos, I'm going to talk about why we're not getting a vaccine anytime soon. It's not happening by the end of the year. It's we don't have treatment. Remdesivir. Like, we're going to talk about all that stuff. Because I got to get y'all a little bit more serious. Now, ultimately, it is about civil liberties. We are not a communist state. You know? What about China, Dr. Vuong? What about China? Why is there only 85,000 deaths in China? 85,000 cases. One, do you believe the numbers out of China? And two, do you realize that they locked people inside their homes? They put a tape over their door. If that seal ever got broken, they were imprisoned. I mean, you're talking total shutdown. Okay? Not like the stuff we do. I mean, it's America. We have civil liberties. People are like, open the government. I mean, this is not America. This is very fucking American. Oh, damn it. This is very American. I mean, this is basically, this shutdown has basically said, listen, we're Americans. I'm going to wash my hands. I'm going to stay 6 feet from you. I might or might not wear a mask to help protect you. And you do the same for me. That's American. Communist is, you're locked inside your house, and if you break the seal, you're going to jail. So, I don't understand the people out there that are like, this is not American, this is not the American way. Yes, it is. You're just upset and scared. And I get it. I understand. It's very trying times. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to talk about the second wave in a new video. The second wave's coming in September. And it's going to be much worse. And as long as we keep sharing stupid memes and keep propagating like misinformation, and we keep trying to yell over somebody else, and we keep trying to say, oh, he's a fake Facebook doctor or whatever. Really? Come on. You're not a child. You're not 12 years old. We're here to have a very adult conversation, okay? So some people sit there and say, but Dr. Vuong, they're artificially raising the death rate, the number of deaths, Dr. Vuong. First of all, do you really think a doctor's going to do that? Yes, I read this news report. My doctors are being, like, forced to Dude, doctors don't get forced to miscode. Nobody can tell a doctor how to code a death certificate. Come on. Do you really believe that? No, they're doing it because they get reimbursed more. No, they don't. Reimbursing prices, first of all, the doctors don't get reimbursed jack shit, right? The hospitals get it's a conspiracy. Dude, the reimbursement prices by Medicare and insurance companies are fixed annually, year to year. I mean, it's negotiated. It's already predetermined. Just because the average American doesn't understand how insurance and billing and stuff works doesn't mean that this is a conspiracy. But, alright, okay, Uncle Joey, let's say you're right. Let's say, Doc, there's a few bad apples, there is something going on, and they are really artificially elevating the 100,000 deaths. Okay, how many do you think there are? Just give me an idea. If you're so smart and you think they're elevating deaths to make this like be in the news and be this fake pandemic, give me a number. What are the real deaths? Give me a number. Because the second you do, you're going to realize how much of an asshole you are. Oh, I think it's only 80,000 deaths. I only think it's 60,000 deaths. Really? We shut down the whole United States. 60,000 people died. And your panties are in a knot, Uncle Billy. Really? Does that make you feel better? To say 60,000 Americans died? And doctors who you trust with your lives have lied about 40,000 deaths? I'm not making up those numbers. But Uncle Billy, this is my response to you. What do you want? And I'm not picking on Uncle Billy. It just seems to happen. Okay. In fact, all of the healthcare professionals in government, if you can believe them or not, Fauci, all these people, we think this is actually low. We think there are people who died at home. We think that you could say, hey, somebody had a heart attack at home because they were scared to come in. Some people are having complications from the diabetes because they don't want to go to the hospital. And in fact, this number is actually higher. And then you get these people who go, you need to open up the country. Suicide rates are high. Blah, 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 blah. Depression's high. First of all, that's what we're saying. We're saying that, if anything, if you think suicides are high, that should be part of this number then. Because it was a consequence of this whole thing. Shouldn't it be included? Wouldn't you want it to be included? Sure. And is opening up the country going to keep that person? Let me tell you, mental health is a very touchy subject. And I've been affected by it. Not myself personally, but friends and family members who have severe depression, suicide attempts. I get it. I've treated lots of patients for it. Right? It's a very touchy subject. Those patients they already had that condition. And they were put in a stressful environment. It's just accelerated something that was going to happen. It just gave them access. I don't like talking about suicides. It's a pretty touchy subject. So, but let's just say these numbers are accurate, right? So, the other thing people say, let me give one more objection. People say, no, we have more, it's because they do more testing. They do more testing. And I go, oh my God, this is, what? More testing. So this number should be bigger. So this is actually too high. It should be much lower than that. First of all, you don't understand what you're saying. If you understand the formula that you have to wait for the outcomes, if you test more, there's more people in this pool that we don't know what the real number is. So it actually, because we do more testing, this number could actually be higher than 20%. Does that make sense what I just said there? Now, I'll give you a counter. Okay, remember when cases were new in March and we had 100, 200, 500, and then we got to 1,000 cases in the United States? What was the death rate back when we had 20,000 cases, roughly? When there were only 20,000 cases, man, we had a death rate of what? 1%. And people were doing what? Why are we panicking? Why are we shutting down the government? Why are we banning travel? The death rate's only 1%. So if you follow the logic that says, hey, the death rate's actually lower because we don't test enough and that this number needs to be higher, what's happened as this number's gotten higher? Has the death rate gone down or has it gone up? It's gone up. It's gone from 1% to 6% to 7%. And it's just like Italy. If you follow these other countries that are ahead of us, their death rates did exactly what I'm telling you. At one point, Italy's death rate was 2%, then 4%, then 5%. And then 2 weeks later, the people on the ventilators died. And Italy jumped up to 10%, 11%. I think Italy at one point got as high as 14, 15%, depending on which numbers you pick. And then now it's back down. 14%. That's still too high. But look at France. France has a 20% death rate, very few new cases. They've really controlled it, and they've settled it out at 20%. This is a very true number. These are the true numbers. I'm telling y'all. This number is going to go up. As you get to 100,000, 150,000 deaths, 140,000 deaths by August, plus we got a second wave coming, guys. All right? This is my plea to you. Today's Memorial Day. This is the day that we honor and remember our fallen soldiers, our sons and daughters of the military who gave their lives for our freedom all across the world. My dad was in the Vietnam War. He was in the Southern Vietnamese Army. He never talked about the war. He never even said anything. He never, even when he, if we were having a party or something, he never broke out old war stories. Stoic men, very powerful. I love our military. Our military gives us the capacity to live in this free country so that we can protect each other and not have these outrageous numbers. But if you don't honor these veterans by trying to look out for your neighbor and your grandmother and your grandfather, and that you're a little uncomfortable, I mean, don't do that. Don't do that. Be patient. If you're going online and you're leaving nasty comments, and what's the purpose of that? Is that the country that we built? Right? And just because, and I get it, man. You're scared, you're frustrated, you're confused, you don't know who to believe, who not to believe. Even if you don't, if you want to believe conspiracy theories, if you want to believe that these numbers are artificial, just sit down and play with the numbers a little bit. You're not going to like them. You don't like the percentages. What if, and this will happen, I promise you. In about 3 months, this number is going to settle around 12%. And people are going to say, Dr. Vuong, what about your video that said the death rate was 20%? How do you feel now? I'm like, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. This is May 25th. Based on the numbers that are available, the death rate, the actual death rate, if you catch coronavirus, if you come down with COVID-19, the actual death rate is between 18 to 24%. I just said 20%. Pick right in the middle. Pick in the middle somewhere. And I'm okay with having a range, because we don't know the exact numbers. You're right, Uncle Billy. It's a conspiracy. They are inflating the deaths. I get it. They don't have enough testing. They have too much testing. Whatever you're... Fine, Aunt Sally. Sit down, plug in the numbers. You won't like them. It doesn't matter. If you understand how to actually calculate it correctly. Don't be one of these idiots. Only 100,000 deaths out of 300 million people. We shut down the country. Dude, you just said that because it wasn't your grandmother. You just shared that meme because it wasn't your uncle, and you're more selfish about your job and your money. And I get it. It's important. It's important that we pay. But what are we supposed to do? My last warning for you is this. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse this fall. There's a bigger wave coming. It's going to be much more devastating. I'll tell you that in the next video. Thank you very much. Love you guys. Be careful. blessings to our armed forces, our first responders, our doctors and nurses and techs and everybody in the front line. Stay safe, everybody.